Hey, so my friends and I like making bad videos.
This is this is fucked up.
It's like kind of like an applesauce.
I said, get that boy some beans.
And one of the previous ones that we made used a green screen. But we didn't have proper lighting, so the video quality looked really bad.
Goblin!
Another sword!
Fuck you.
I tried looking for some higher power lights online, but I couldn't find anything that was reasonably priced. So instead I decided to make some lights of my own, and I made this video to show you how I did it. I started by drawing out what I wanted the lights to look like. I decided to use LED tubes as they were a light source that were pretty easy to wire, lightweight, and fairly inexpensive. Next I would need some type of clips to hold the lights in place, some type of enclosure to hold everything together, and something in front of the lights to diffuse the light so that way it didn't cast as many shadows on the blue screen. Some way of attaching it to a stand, and of course I needed a power cable. Seemed like a pretty simple build. I ordered the least expensive clips that I could find for the lights, but they didn't really have a good way of attaching them to another part. Once they arrived, I measured the clips and began designing a part that would act as a mount for the clips. I designed the part to surround the base of the clip, and I made sure to have enough room so that way the light could still get in and out of the clip. I added 2 holes for screws so that way I could easily attach it to the piece of wood in the next part of the build. After that, I 3D printed the first part and made sure that it would fit. Then I 3D printed the rest of the clips that I would need. With all the prints finished, I started building the enclosure. I started by cutting all the wood down to size. I used 1/2-inch plywood to keep it lightweight so that way the light could be supported by a regular tripod for studio lights. In total, there were 13 different cuts. I laid them all on my work surface, seen here. Then I built up the ends of the enclosure which hold the clips for the lights. The ends were pretty much half boxes held together with screws. I repeated this for the other side. Here I'm laying out the clips, making sure that they're all equally spaced, and then I'm screwing them in. Next, all the clips were wired together. The contacts are really tricky to get the wire into, and I struggled a little bit to do that. Luckily, I only needed to wire one side of the enclosure. Here I'm temporarily adding in the lights so that way I can see how far apart the ends need to be. Then I flipped it over and then added the support that connects the 2 ends. Now I'm adding the tripod connection. Originally I wanted to be able to pose the lights at different angles, but I decided it would be easier if I just allowed them to be vertical or horizontal on the tripod. I drilled out the holes to let the pull through or screw in, and here I am attaching it to the back piece. Nearly done. All I need to do now is wire the lights to the plug. Here I'm running the wire towards the center of the light, attaching the cord to the lights. I ended up using an extension cord with the end cut off because it was cheaper than buying a regular outlet cord. I plugged it in to make sure that it works, and it does. The last thing to do was add the diffusing fabric in front of the lights to soften the shadows cast by it. The fabric was tricky to deal with, but it got the job done, even though it doesn't look the best. And after all that, it was done. So here I am, I got the setup. Those 2 lights are my previous ones that I used for the green screen. There's my camera. And I got one light there because I don't have a support for that one yet, but then I have this one set up over here. Now that we're all set up, you can see that the blue screen doesn't really have too many shadows. That's because the lights are behind me. But even if I were to step back here, you can see that I lose a whole bunch of color in my face. That's what the two lights near the camera are for. So if I step back forward, everything, I'm a little bit better lit up. Those lights aren't really the best. So anyway, they seem to work pretty good. Oh no, what is that? Ah! Ah!